Yeah. You ready?
I am ready.
Alright everyone, welcome back to Two Shades of Grey. Today we're joined again with Rahul Dominic. Hey Rahul.
Hello.
Hey man. Hey David.
Hey.
Alright, so Rahul, what is today's topic?
Today's topic is how many shades of grey does the law have?
Oh yes! I like the spin of it. I love that. That's
shades?
great. 50 shades. Oh, 50 shades. Lovely. Okay, yes. So the premise behind this is that we often think of the law as, oh, you love that joke. we often think of the law as something that's immutable and that, you know, should be followed letter by letter, whereas instead, in reality, it's always up to interpretation. And, you know, we can take examples of law cases in which someone was guilty, and then only because they had a good judge a good lawyer by their side, then they were able to get away with it. And in other cases, someone who was not guilty, who was who did not commit whatever he was accused of, instead goes to jail or has a consequence because, you know, his lawyer was not good enough, for example, or their lawyer rather. What is your stand on this, Rahul?
So I think that the premise is true in that the law is not black and white. Like, the law is a set of rules that must be followed and that people judge based on. But I think that the fact that we have so many different laws and they all kind of interrelate to each other, they have clauses and exemptions and situations like that, you can have some really weird things happen. So you could have situations where you're kind of guilty, but you're kind of exempted.
Yeah.
And that's just if you completely trust the evidence. If there are other problems with the with evidence, like, you could have just a very well falsified piece of document.
Yeah.
That's also very possible. So, you know, the evidence brings into question a lot of aspects of how the law is dealt with, and then you also have lawyers who are in court arguing cases.
Yeah.
And in the
the jury.
American system, if we look at the American system and we look at the jury for criminal trials, how can their emotions be swayed by these lawyers?
Exactly.
Like, my favorite thing is the first opening scene of Better Call Saul.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
You should.
Just watch the first part of it.
Yeah.
But it's pretty great. It basically depicts, if you guys haven't watched it, just go and see it. It's basically how his clients have committed a heinous sin.
Yeah.
A heinous law, and he knows they're gone.
Yeah.
But he's a public defendant.
Of course.
So he needs to defend them. So he gives this very eloquently stated
Argument,
like closing argument. And then his defendant comes and plays back the prosecutor comes back and plays a video of the actual act, and everyone's like, no.
That does not work. Like,
I mean, again, like, I've always kind of seen, like, a trial is just, you're sort of debating, like, okay, how many loopholes can I find in this case? Like, how am I exempted? You know, this was just like circumstantial here, even though there's this evidence, you don't actually know that I was walking out of the room at exactly 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Again, and like, it is important to like talk, but then you kind of look at it like, okay, you know, we know that they're just trying to like squeeze out of it.
Yeah.
So just in many ways, like, it's not all about justice. It's just about like how well you can defend yourself, or like just how well you can sort of argue your own point.
Yes.
And there are like a lot of ridiculous laws too. Like, I can't remember the exact law, but it was like just something as ludicrous as you cannot have like a blue square in your back jean pocket on a Friday. Like, just some
Where?
U.S. city.
That's silly.
I could be, but it's so weird, and like, it's just, I don't know.
It doesn't make sense, and it's really unfair. And like, the most unfair thing that I think of is laws applied to drug possession. like people get honestly like sentenced to jail for so many years just because they had some weed, for example, which is not even legal in Canada. Sure, if you have kilos of cocaine or like morphine or heroin, then sure, like that's bad. But I just think that again the law system is just so unfair in many cases.
But I think what you're describing is very black and white. It's do you have possession or not? If I can prove possession, then I'm good.
Sure,
So
yes.
it's the problem with the law itself. It's not really the fact that it's black and white. That it's not exact rather. What I have like my comment would be on the laws for assault. So you have first, second, and third degree
Yes.
assault, and all of them vary based on level of bodily harm. So
Yeah.
how badly did you injure the other person, and was that your intention?
How do you prove that?
Exactly.
Though, right?
So that's my problem. So the second part, how do you prove intention? I think that's when having a good lawyer comes
Can
in.
really help you. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's between first and second degree assault, you can get anywhere from no sentence at all
Yeah.
to 20 years.
That's ridiculous.
Like looking at
exactly.
the extreme ends.
Yes, yes.
So and that's where having a good lawyer comes about, and that's exactly why the U.S. Started having public defenders in the first place, because before that it would be impossible for people who could not afford lawyers
to get out of those situations.
yeah. to learn the law
Oh, yeah, of
and
course.
then even argue on their behalf of the law.
That would be
That's
so hard.
impartially no.
Yeah. Okay, so what if there was like, some AI that always acted as the public defendant so that it would always be equal on all sides, right? Wouldn't that remove the bias that, the jury would have by hearing a very good lawyer or, a mediocre lawyer?
Okay, so the first problem is that we don't have systems that are good enough to do that at this point.
Maybe yet, but, say in 20 years.
So basically,
or something.
so is the hypothetical that we have such a such a developed AI that can it is not biased at all. It just
Of course,
completely
yeah.
It objectively
Well, yeah,
looks
because
at
it knows
every
all
situation.
Yeah, it knows all the law, right?
And then it just uses all the information that it
Yes.
that it has. It uses the law, and then it says, "Oh, Bobby is now guilty," and then and he's guilty for 20 years.
But then that would remove, I guess, kind of the right of the person to feel defended,
Because
right? Because it's just law.
the
that's
justice
it.
system as it exists here is that you have the liberty to kind of just there isn't just a single entity that's gonna punish you without you being able to defend yourself.
Of course,
right?
yeah. That's
So
one of your rights.
It's really just about okay, you know what, I want to make a case. I want to show that I am innocent or that I want to reduce my time or whatever. So how can you ever trust that just one entity that's making a decision is doing it correctly or fairly?
So yeah, I think it comes back to the humanity of it. I think that we're not going to be satisfied with a machine ruling on our behalf for something that can potentially
Yes.
change people's life. Also, I think that we're very far off where machines can 40 years where machines can actually definitively say how likely were you to
Having actually done
mean,
that.
no actually
Or-
mean
or
to
mean
do
it,
something.
yes.
And stuff like how would appeals work? Would
Yeah.
appeals only be if you have new evidence? You can't
Based
appeal to a
on
higher
what-
court
yeah.
because it's the same system, right? Things might go extremely swiftly, but it might also not really be accurate at.
But it's so unfair, right? And how do you get rid of this bias where you have lawyers that are
And
better that
there
can
will
save
always
you?
exist that it'll never go away. I think just innately we will always be subject to some bias no matter what.
But then how do you reduce this unfairness?
So I think that's actually where the positive things of the jury comes from. You have I
guess-
forgot how many there are, but you have a
20? Is it?
No.
15?
No,
Less?
I think it's 7.
Yeah.
Like, just Google it. But yeah, I think it's 7. So, so for example, if it's a criminal trial, right?
Yeah.
You need
12.
Oh,
Okay.
12. Sorry,
Okay.
yes, 12.
I thought it was 8.
So you need 12 people to convict them.
Oh, so all of them have to
All
agree
of
on
them.
that, yes.
Yeah. Even if one person doesn't, if none of them do, you're clearly
Of course, yeah.
But if anything over 6-2, it's called a hung jury.
Yeah.
They really weren't sure what was
Yeah.
happening. So I think that's kind of where it plays a key role. If you have people who really care on the jury, who are unbiased enough that they can deliver a fair verdict and stuff like that, it removes some of the uncertainty.
Sure.
And like it definitely does, but there will always be that bias because
Yeah.
like a human is making a decision, or humans are. So like, have you guys seen The Social Network?
Yeah.
Yes.
So do you remember when the woman was talking to Mark? And then
Yes,
she said
yeah,
like,
I saw
oh,
that.
I could pose the question like,
Yeah.
why were you not at that party? And then it's
Yeah.
like, and then he's like, wait, so then you're saying that I planted? She isn't saying that.
Yeah.
She just asked an open, I guess,
Question.
leading question.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly like that just infiltrates into people's decision making, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, maybe he did plant the
After
fucking-
all, yeah.
So what they do to combat that is you can't ask leading questions
Oh, really?
if it's your witness. If you're cross-examining the witness,
Okay, then yes.
then you
of
can
course.
you can
Yeah.
ask leading questions, and that's when the whole objection system comes in.
Yeah.
If the other lawyer objects,
Yeah.
then that is stricken off of evidence, and the jury is taught that whatever is objected and the objection is sustained, ignore it.
But then,
But
see, like,
then again, like saying ignore it, like it's
Yeah.
still in their minds,
is.
right?
in the
Yeah.
jury,
And
yes,
then that's the
you can't
problem.
change
Like
that.
once you hear it, you're gonna think about it.
Yeah.
Like it's not like not like the AI that we were talking about, where it's just like in their RAM for this, like, hey, get
Yes,
out
yeah.
of there. It's just like
Yeah.
now you're like, oh yeah, you know what? And then you
Yeah,
kind
it
of
just
think about it.
stays
So
in.
it's just that's the problem. You know, there will always be that bias, and we definitely have ways to like combat that, but it will still exist, and it's not always fair.
One thing that AI, like that you brought up, one thing that AI is actually doing right now is in discovery. So when lawyers are going to trial, so discovery is the process by which you, like both sides, they release all documents that they have in
Yeah.
their possession that are related and can potentially
Incriminate.
the other
The victim.
themselves rather.
Okay, yes.
Basically anything pertinent to the trial.
Okay.
And it's illegal to hide any document, and if you do, there are consequences
Yes.
for that. So in discovery, sometimes what people do is they send like a lot of documents.
So much.
Yeah,
Right?
and that's just called bearing in evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So there are AI systems that are actually scanning these documents.
Yeah.
And saying, okay, what's the probability that this is useful for me? And then a lawyer looks at it.
Yes.
I
only if-
definitely think
Yeah.
that AI has a very important role
Role
in the
in this,
future
yeah.
because like just the bias is like pretty sickening, especially when it comes to
Okay,
important trials.
That's true, but like okay, let's take a look at the bot that Microsoft released on Twitter.
Oh, that was
Wait,
savage.
What is? I'm not
So-
aware of this.
So it was this bot that was trained to act and behave like a teenage girl, and it learned based on the tweets that people sent it.
How to react, yeah.
And what would happen is it turned racist.
Yes, it did.
It started spewing anti-Jew
Oh, no.
propaganda.
Oh, no.
Like,
and
I'm
stuff
looking-
like that.
I'm looking at some comments. I'm not sure if I should say them, but like the bot said, "Oh, Hitler did nothing wrong."
Yeah.
It also said,
We're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for
yes,
it.
right?
But like, see, I want like, but could also have been like people were like massaging what it was seeing to then like kind
Yes,
of just trick it into
exactly.
thinking like this is what is representative of how people.
Exactly.
But okay, so
So
like,
bias is
there
not inherent.
Yeah, that's very true.
Right.
Like it does learn from the
Yeah.
bias of other people,
Yeah.
and like just ideally there would be like it would not. It's just like it's so hard to say like okay, look, we can have an AI that would be objective, but then the problem is that we have to create that AI. And then
Who
we can,
created it,
like,
right?
And then we can but then how do you guarantee that like it will be objective?
Unbiased.
It won't be biased.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like will it be open source? But then like people could then like exploit
Tweak
it or
it.
something. Like I mean,
And
and then
let's
who would manage that? Like
Yes,
it's just,
exactly.
It's a very
exactly, and the data that you train it on is
Yeah.
generated by humans and past
Yeah.
trials.
so then like it
So
would
it
have
It will
the
be
inherently as biased as the
precedent.
perhaps
Then the
created
precedent is
dataset.
biased, and then therefore
Yeah.
it's,
Exactly.
now it's gonna always choose someone.
Always be biased.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
So exactly, that's kind of the problem here, and that's why I think that we're not going to have a perfect system. It's just going to be that lawyers need to be ethical. They need to train lawyers to be ethical. Judges
But-
need to be like
Ethics can only go so far when you're paying millions of dollars to like save, your client that did something wrong.
yes,
Clearly.
but the judge is not being paid. Ideally, the judge is not being paid. And in those situations, for example, the judge has the ability to reprimand lawyers that are not ethical, or even file cases with the bar to have them suspended or
Or something
whatever.
like that, yeah.
So the judge has that power, and then again, I guess that one power. Like, how do you elect that judge? That's kind of the problem.
I guess you can always go
In the
further up,
US.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, in the US, the judges are elected.
Yes.
And that's based on Democrats and Republicans. Like, they give tickets to these judges
Yeah.
and back them. And that has a whole other thing that, John Oliver did a whole
Oh yes.
whole episode on
Yeah.
that.
There's definitely some
Yeah.
corruption going on there. But,
Yeah. So there's a lot of
there's a lot of sides to
intricacies
this.
here.
Yes. Yeah. But anyways, I think that like it is impossible to try to achieve an unbiased system, like a completely unbiased system, because yes, we are humans. So in the end, we'll always be subjective, and there will always be bias, even if we don't want it to be there. But we should definitely try to achieve, like a less biased system, perhaps with the help of some, more technology, some AI, even if it won't completely replace what the human's role is. Yeah, I guess that the conclusion is that it will inevitably be biased in any way or form that we try to improve it.
Yeah.
So
I'd say just give better access to better lawyers. Train
Yes.
better lawyers, get better access.
yes, yeah. So yeah, guys, let us know what you think of this. If you agree or if you disagree. If you find a few more shades of gray in this area, and as always, let us know in the comments if you liked it. Subscribe and leave us some reviews, some suggestions, some topics that you would like to hear, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
See ya.